Okay, so hello.
Hi,
If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
hi, my name is Farabi. I live in Austin, Texas currently, and I'm a government major at UT Austin.
Yeah, and what is your job? Like what do you do?
I right now I just have like this relaxed at school job where I'm supposed to be making sure everybody's following COVID regulations, but I just sit there and study instead.
Cool. So even when you're not working at work, you're still working. You're still
Yeah,
being
it's
productive.
yeah.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Um, so do you know what productivity culture is or like what the college grind is?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a very I feel like that plays a very big part in my life right now, the college grind and productivity culture and whatever
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, do you mind like elaborating like what is your work week look like? Like what is your schedule on a daily basis or like weekly basis?
Let's see. Usually on days when I don't have that much work to do, like it's just like reading for class and then like maybe the occasional like journal response or whatever, like those days I study slash read for like 4 hours a day. Like that's usually what I do. And like but when there's really bad days, like yesterday, it's like 10 hours of studying a day. It's like, it's not nonstop, but there's very minimal breaks. And it's just like always trying to find like time to fit other classes in and like studying and then like making sure I don't forget anything and then like not eating the whole day, things like that. Yeah.
Right, right, yeah. So what is your sleep schedule? Do you get enough sleep?
So, okay. So usually I do, okay. Usually I do. I like get 6 hours of sleep, which is enough for me. But days like really bad days, like when I have an exam or like for some reason with online schooling, like all the professors always make things like on the same days and stuff like that. So days that are super busy, I usually get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. And I try to make sure I don't nap when I have busy days, but sometimes like I'll try to nap for like 20 minutes. But yeah.
Right. So, okay, so I know that like at least for me, I feel like there is this romanticization of being productive and like staying productive constantly, and it looks just like very aesthetic. Like
Yeah.
when you see like study YouTubers, for instance, it's like realistically they're probably getting like no sleep because they're studying all the time, but it
Exactly.
still like looks so aesthetic and like you want to keep up with that.
Mhm.
Have you felt like you prioritized that aesthetic, like that this idea of like being productive and like productivity culture over like your own mental health?
I do actually. I was actually thinking about doing like a study YouTube or like a study TikTok because that's how much like studying and staying productive like takes over my life, you know? Like when I want to do something creative, it also involves study, you know? Like it's definitely like right now I definitely try to put like studying on a higher pedestal than all of my other needs, like eating and like making sure like I mean like having a healthy diet and like making sure I don't burn myself out, I guess. And like but the thing about like um productivity culture and that stuff, I feel like having that aesthetic is like the one thing that's keeping me like from burnout, I guess, making sure
Oh,
everything's like aesthetic, like, oh my God, I have like boba while I'm studying, or like I'm lighting a candle while I'm studying, like that's like that aesthetic is like kind of what keeps me going.
it's like a form of self-care for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So like it like for me, which is totally fine, like I find that super interesting because like for me it's like I actually find that aesthetic like harder on like my mental health because I know that like I'm kind of showing face, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of like I bring my like I get my shit done, but at the same time it's like behind this aesthetic, like behind this like on the grind kind of girl, I'm dying. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
So it's like I'm trying to keep up with like everything's fine, but really it's like, that dog in the pit of fire. And
Yeah.
he's like, everything's fine. Like that's me. So I find that so interesting because it's like for me, keeping up with all of that is like more exhausting than me finding it to be a point of self-care. So I
Yeah.
think that's like a good thing that you're able to find that balance, like seeing the good parts of it, whereas like I'm just seeing it as like this impossible standard that I'm supposed to live up to, or like even though it's like realistically that's not the case for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, it makes sense. Like, it's definitely super draining. Like, the amount of times, like, I have mini panic attacks while I'm studying is, like, insane. It's just like, but then, like, I guess it keeps me grounded, It's just like, like, I look nice right now. I'm studying. I have a cute drink. There's cute music in the background. Like, what is wrong? Like, there's nothing wrong right now. That's how it kind of works for me. Or like going to a cute coffee shop, it kind of, I'm so sorry. It kind of helps me like distract myself from how like mundane and uniform my life is on a daily basis.
Right. No,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think that's like a good way to look at it. It's almost like you're looking forward to, like you said, like going to a cute coffee shop is like that's something to look forward to. Like you may not want to study, but like at least you're going to like this place that you're looking forward to, so it kind of like makes it better.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, something that like that's and I typically honestly like I don't do that like whenever I get work done, I'm like in my home and I'm like, holy shit, like I just don't even want to be here. I
Yeah.
like I don't want to be doing this. Like I don't want to be doing work. Like I don't want to go to work even. Like it's just that balance of exhaustion. I sometimes don't personally find like light at the end of the tunnel, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um has okay, so when you were growing up, so I feel like it's safe to say that like for a lot of like youth,
Mm.
especially now and like when we were growing up, that college was kind of implemented in our brains that like we had to go to college.
Yeah.
Do you think that that affected like your outlook as how you see school and like study and like productivity now from like growing up? Like, do you think that that was at play then?
Yeah, I definitely feel like because that idea has been ingrained in me, like college is like the only way I'm gonna have a future, like
Mm.
that idea is like my parents have been telling me like you're gonna go to Columbia when you're older, like that kind of like stuff, like I feel like it makes it seem like if anything happens and you have to drop out of college or like you can't finish college, like your life is over, like it makes like going to college the only like thing that's keeping you afloat, I guess, from becoming like somebody that's living on the streets. At least that's like it's not like that's how it made me feel growing up,
Mm.
like it's not like that. It's definitely not like that. Neither of my parents went to college.
Mm.
But like to me like that's how it feels because that's what I was told my entire life.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
it's
'Cause
like yeah.
yeah, as a kid, you're told like you're already expected to know what college you want to go to as like a 5-year old. They're like, so where are you going? And you're just like, you're
Yeah.
5 years old, so you're gonna
Where
say
do
like
you want to be when you're older?
exactly. And you're like, I want to be an astronaut. And it's like, okay, kid, you're not gonna be an astronaut, but
Exactly.
but good goals. Um, yeah, it's like it for me, like college was the end game. They
Yeah.
were hyping this up, like hyping the school up, and like even like when we were in high school, like closer to college, all you heard was like people saying like, oh my God, it's like you're gonna have the time of your life. Like
Yeah.
there's parties, you're gonna learn about yourself, it's gonna be amazing. And then you get there and it's like, I am having a quarter life crisis and I have no idea what to do because I'm about to graduate and I literally have no set plan of like what I'm actually supposed to be doing. And
Exactly.
it's like no one tells you this shit, but you're like in it and you were told as a kid like this is the end game, but nobody tells you what comes after the end game, you know?
Exactly. Like I honestly feel like the reason why I'm pursuing higher education or like why a lot of people even pursue higher education is because I don't know what I'm going to do after I quit school.
Mhm.
You know, after I'm done with college, then what am I going to do? After I'm done with law school, like then what am I going to do, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It it almost feels like a safety net. Like I know that I'm in a 2-year program right now, but um so I'm almost done. We're almost done like this coming spring.
Mhm.
And like it's scary. It's like I obviously want to pursue like acting and like doing all this stuff, but at the same time, like I don't feel like I'm prepared to be like in that real world without that safety net of like being in school
Yeah.
because I've been in school my whole life. So automatically like my brain is like, okay, well like apply to like another school so that way I can have like that extra time before I really need to just be an adult. And like that's terrifying. It's like we were not prepared to do anything outside of school, which is kind of scary. Like
I
it was
know.
very looked down upon if you chose anything but school, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like I remember even when I was in high school, I was like, you know, when people would be like, "Oh, I'm not going to go to college. Like I hate like studying." I would be like, "Why? Like that's so weird." And I'm like, I look back at it and I was just like, that's because I was coming from like a point of privilege, number one. And
Mm-hmm.
number two, it's because like I guess some people they don't have the same mentality as like me where like it's just like studying is like the only thing I've done for the majority of my life. I don't know what comes next, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah.
Yeah. And that's absolutely terrifying. So you okay. So, do you think that, okay, so your parents didn't go to college. Do you think that in your case that because of that, like college might have been like you going to college, also you're an only child.
Yeah.
So like do you think that that might have been like pushed harder on you?
Yeah.
Like that you have to be like this, you know, you're the successor of the Farhad family, right? Like
Yeah. That's exactly how it was, you know, like my parents would be like, "Oh, you're our only like hope," you know, like they would actually like put all of that pressure on me from middle school. Like they're like, "You're our only child, like we have to make sure you succeed." You know,
Mhm.
they would always say that kind of stuff to me. And then like my mom even now, she's like, "Whenever you become a good lawyer, like make sure like I really want a nice car, so if you ever want a gift, you know, it's always like pushed on me that I have to be like the provider for them, right? And so
Right.
for that, I need to have good academic standing to go to a good law school, and then I have to be have good academic standing in law school, so then I can like get like you know go to a good law firm, I guess. So it's always just like one stress after another, and like my parents don't understand why I'm stressed out all the time because they believe like you know like you're in college, like your only concern is studying, and like they don't understand how stressful studying is every
Yeah,
single day.
absolutely. And not to mention UT is a very competitive school. It's hard. It's a hard school to be at. The classes aren't easy, so I
I
can
was
only imagine.
yeah, I was not expecting this at all when I transferred here. Oh my gosh, it's so fucking bad.
Yeah. So, as far as like workload goes, like how often or like how many hours a week would you say you spend solely on homework that your teachers give to you?
Hours a week, I think it would be including weekends, it would be close to 30. Cause like 4 hours per weekday, not including like going to class. 4 hours a weekday, plus like on like the weekend, I'm like, oh, this is the time I get to catch up, even though I've been studying like over the week. This is when I get to catch up, I guess. And so I study more on the weekends. So it usually ends up being 30, unless I have like an exam or like a big paper, which then it probably goes to like 45 or something
Right.
like.
Which is his own full-time job, and you're working on top of that. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Exactly.
Um, I think we've kind of like talked about this before, but I want to like bring it back up. But like the guilt that comes along with the moment that you're being unproductive,
Oh
that
yeah.
can kind of make you feel like you're being lazy, even
Yeah.
when you're not. Like if you wouldn't mind like going into that a little bit.
Yeah, like I've definitely had like personal conversations about this,
Mhm.
and like it took a long time for me to realize that, like, look at the day as like a bigger picture of all of the things I've done in the day rather than focus on what I didn't do in a day. It used to be back then, like by back then I mean like literally probably a few weeks ago, before I changed, like I worked on myself to change my mindset about how I approach studying. Like it used to be like, oh my God, I can't believe I spent 2 hours sleeping, and it used to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was using my phone while I was studying. Like, I can't believe I did that. Like, that's like 20 minutes that I could have spent like studying that's gone, you know? And it's like, for me, like when I wasted my time or whatever on things that were like a break to me, it was kind of like, it made me feel so guilty. And it was just like, I don't know. It's just, I used to beat myself up so much because I used to take breaks,
Mhm.
and it was so bad for my mental health.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like that goes back to again like this romanticization. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but of the college grind. It's like every waking moment is supposed to be a productive moment. Like you're not like you're on the grind, and that's what's like admirable about like a college student is that like they're on the go. Like they're studying, they're either working or they're studying, you know? And then but like when you're living in that life and you realize like I need a break, you're
Mhm.
kind of not conditioned to like be okay with taking that break because that's
Exactly.
not part of it, you know?
Yeah. It's
Um,
definitely like that.
yeah. And also, we've also kind of touched on this a little bit, but like getting self gratification about like doing something like pulling an all-nighter
Mhm.
when it entails when you're like working all night, you know?
Yeah.
You kind of feel like good about yourself, even though
Exactly. Yeah.
it's like it's bad for your mental health. Do you have any instances where it's like you've kind of done something that might have not been good for your mental health, and like you don't have to talk about this, like we can cut this out, but like talk about something that might have not been good in your mental health, but gave you self gratification because it might have been good for your schooling.
I used to reward myself. This is so bad. This is so bad. Like I used to reward myself on like being able to eat based on how much I study. It was the worst thing I could have done to myself, I guess, like entering college. But I used to sit in the libraries for like after going to class since 9 a.m. to like 3 or 4 a.m. 4 p.m. I mean, and or something like that. I used to be like, if I do this amount of work, I can eat something other than a fruit bar, you know?
Mhm.
And so like there were some days when I used to just like survive on like 3 or 4 fruit bars, and that's why I lost so much weight like when I entered college, was because I used like food as like a reward for
Like,
studying.
yeah, an incentive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so bad. And it was like, I don't do that anymore. Now it's more like I'll forget to eat because I'm so stressed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely different from when I used to like force myself to not be hungry because I had work to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I know. It's like it's just crazy. Like in order to, I don't know, it in order to keep up motivation, you have to like incentivize yourself with like different things. Like, you know, Snickers bars, like, okay, if you do this, like you can have this, which is just really fucked up, honestly, in like
Yeah.
hindsight. Um, but it's also like not unheard of, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like you're not alone in that. It's like because of how because of like how into productivity culture and like the college grind people are, we'll go through that lengths. Like personally, I don't sleep really ever,
Mhm.
because I find every single moment of every day a moment to be doing something,
Yeah.
um, which again, that's not unheard of. Like that's like I've spoken to so many people who are like, yeah, me too. Like I have to stay up, otherwise, like I don't get shit done.
Mhm.
So it's like the daytime is like daytime, and then I go to work. And then at night, like that's when I can do like homework. But then also there's not enough time in the night to do homework. So then I have to like extend the night
Yeah.
doing homework. But also like I enjoy having free time here and there. And like I need to give myself like that free time when usually like realistically that free time is supposed to be sleeping time, but I'll use it to like watch a show or like read something.
Mhm.
And it just is like this endless cycle of like I'm trying to fit everything in using time that I actually should, like I actually don't have that time. Like it's supposed to be sleeping time, you
Yeah.
know? So, but also it gives me like this really sick sense of like self gratification. Like
Uh-huh.
there was this one night, we had an assignment due for class that was like we had to break down, we had to read a script and then break down our characters like every action. And I think that the night before it was due, I had work, so I stayed up all night doing it. And I remember feeling so pleased with myself. I remember I was like, hell yeah, like I just stayed up all night, like I'm exhausted, but like I got this done, like go me. And it's like, but also I'm exhausted and I need sleep. Like just prioritizing that instead of like over my mental health, like act and physical health even, right?
I'm pretty sure that probably has some very bad effects in the long term, doing a
Yeah.
lot of all-nighters and stuff like that.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, okay, again, like for me personally, whenever I heard about college, like even in high school, I heard about the parties, I heard about the finding yourself, I heard about like how chill everything is and
Yeah.
like the you don't have to attend every class. Did anybody ever like sit down and talk to you about like how it actually was for
No,
them?
no, never. Like, but the thing is, it's like I've never, my friends that I had that went to college before me, we never got to talk that much after they went to college. I guess because they were so busy all the time, you know? But it's like I tried to do that. I tried letting people know, like, hey, like you may think having like 15 hours of school compared to like the 40 hours a week you had in high school, it's going to be a lot easier, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you may think you're going to have so much time to like make friends and stuff like that, but it's not actually like that, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Why didn't anyone tell us? Like, we get there. I remember the first week of like Texas State. I get there and I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking easy, easy. And then like into the semester, I'm like taking 16 hours, which is like the recommended. They're like, you have to take 16 hours if you want to graduate on time.
Mhm.
So of course, everyone fills their damn schedule with 16 hours. and then we all die. So that's just it.
It's so bad. Yeah, like I was like 15 hours. That is the easiest thing in the world. I used to do 40 hours a week. 15 hours a week is nothing. And then like I go and I'm like, God damn, like this is so draining. I can't even sit still for like 10 minutes.
I know.
It's
It it's nuts. And because also the difference like between high school and like college, I also think the high school workload can be a lot.
Mhm.
The difference between high school and college is like there's no one like really managing you in college,
Yeah,
right? Like you, it's like completely on you. And if anything, that makes the pressure tenfold
yeah,
because if you don't graduate college, that's on you
exactly.
and you're paying for it.
Yeah, like I haven't had an advisor since I came to UT.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know where the heck she went. Like I called her, I think my first semester I did. And then I tried contacting her at the end of the semester. And
Mhm.
they were like, yeah, she transferred to like a different department in COLA, like College of Liberal Arts.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, well, okay. And then after that, I would have to rely on, I guess, like emailing the entire department and stuff like that. And that's kind of hard because they also don't know me on a personal level that like an advisor does. So it's
Mhm.
like I don't even know if I'm on the right track to graduating. I don't even know.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if
Oh,
I'll be graduating soon. I don't know how to apply for law school because I don't have an advisor to help me with that. And my parents are like I'm first generation. My parents don't know much about this stuff compared to other parents. So it's like there's that, and then like I don't know, like we also have to do like a internship, a research internship in order to graduate. I don't know how to do that. Like I don't know I don't know how to apply for that. I don't have an advisor.
it's yeah, like especially yeah. So that's like again, I can't imagine that makes your stress level any better. I'm sure if anything, that makes it so much worse not having an advisor. And again, knowing that it's like your responsibility
Exactly. Yeah.
because it's like, yeah, no one's going to be like checking in on you. They're not like, hey, you're making A's.
Mm.
Gotta make those A's. Come on, Robbie, you're better than that.
They don't
You
give
know?
us report cards.
Oh,
in
really? They don't.
in college they don't.
You're right. I can't remember at Texas State. They do. We have like midterm like grade checks.
Uh-huh.
Like we get our midterm grades and then we get our final grades. But I can't remember at Texas. Yeah, we don't get report cards because that'd be kind of weird. But like our grades are updated, so you could check your grades like at
Yeah.
what they are. Like so you'll know what you'll get for your final.
Yeah. But it's just like some here, I feel like in high school, teachers were expected, like, you have to have dates in every blah, blah, blah of this month or every blah, blah, blah of this week. In college, like, I'll take an exam, like, probably a few weeks into school. I won't know until like the end of that class, if that makes sense. And that
Yeah,
makes it stressful.
yeah, that does. Because then yeah, you don't know. Um, geez, it's just. Do you, if you could do things differently, would you?
Like about not going to college at all, I guess, and that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
like even if you took a gap year or if you yeah exactly like if you chose to not like knowing what you know now, knowing how it is and how it's affecting you, would you do anything differently?
I guess the thing is, like, I don't think I would because like the goals I have envisioned for my life, like this is kind of like the only way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to take a gap year after I graduate college. I wanted to take 2, but my parents were like, I don't think you should take 2 gap years because like of all of these different reasons. Um, but I don't think I would do anything differently. I think the one thing I wish I could have done was go to UT first semester, like my freshman year, um, because maybe then I would have been more like I would have adapted to like the workload here
Right.
compared to UTSA a lot better.
Right. Which UTSA still had a fair amount, big workload, but UT is.
Yeah, UT is just like there's no like UTSA, it was a lot of workload.
Mhm.
Yeah, but if I could manage it unhealthily, yeah. But here it's like I'll be managing it very unhealthily and I still won't finish everything.
Mhm.
It's just, and I'm taking 12 hours this semester.
Right, but 12 hours is still a lot.
It is. It is.
It's still a lot.
It is.
I think that's like another strange thing is um like I don't know if you remember in high school, but like we had like pre-AP, AP, and like
Yeah.
regular. And like if someone chose to do a regular class, like especially freshman year, like if someone was like, I'm doing a regular class, like if you were an AP or pre-AP student, you'd be like, you're doing a regular class,
I was definitely one of those people.
right? It's like such a strange, like me too. Like me too. I was like, okay, regular. When in hindsight, it's like you're probably smarter for doing regular class because your GPA is
Exactly.
going to stay up here for doing the bare minimum. So
Exactly.
like you're smarter than all of us. But that was kind of how it was too. Starting college was like, um, my counselor was like, do you have to do 16 hours. Like you have to do 16 hours. Like if you want to graduate on time, you have to do 16 hours. And so I was like, okay, sign me up for those 16 hours. And the next semester, I did less than 16 hours because I knew I was already moving here to New York. So I was like, there's really no point for me to fill my schedule up to 16 hours because I won't be graduating from Texas State. Um, and I remember there was like judgment for like people. They're like, you're not doing 16 hours. Like, are you sure about that? Like, you're like, how are you going to like be on track? Like, did you do APs in high school? And I was like, no, but I'm honestly fine. Like, it's not really any of your concern. So I think that that's like also a strange thing. It's like, why? Like, there's such a strange like judgment that comes along with certain things.
Yeah.
Like the amount of hours you do. Again, like doing 12 hours is shit ton of work,
Hmm.
but there's those people who like if they're doing 16, they're like, "Oh, you're only doing 12." And it's like that doesn't make like that's so I don't know, I just find that so interesting. And again, it goes back to like this romanticization of like how much work you have to be doing at all times. And it's like, who is that benefiting?
I know, and it's like I have friends, like mostly my like, mostly my like, me, mostly my like pre med friends who take like 18 hours a week, and they're always just like, oh my god, you must have it so easy because like you're like number one a liberal arts student and number two like you're only taking 12 hours, like 6 hours a semester. I'm like, I guess, but I'm still having a hard time. It's so hard.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not, I think it's so strange to compare workloads.
I
Like,
know.
I find that strange. Like, if anybody is doing less than you, why would you discredit the amount that they are already doing?
Yeah.
Like, there are people, there were people in my first semester of university would they were doing 12 hours like right off the bat. And they were chilling, honestly, because this first semester at Texas State is the easiest.
Mhm.
That being said, just because it's the easiest doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah.
But they were chilling, like compared to the rest of us who were like listening to our advisors doing 16. and they were getting their work done. They were submitting good work.
Mhm.
Um, their GPA was going to be fine, and their mental health wasn't crumbling beneath them. And we're judging them for doing 12 hours? Like,
Exactly.
what? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Also don't know like what's going on in their life. Like you don't know if they have kids. You don't know if they
Yeah.
have like if they're like working a job besides this, you know? And
Mhm.
it's just like the amount of judgment that comes with how many hours you're taking is like the dumbest things.
So dumb.
Yeah, like I
Like,
have like peers in my classes who are literally like 30, 40 years old, or like you can see like their kids running around in their Zoom calls and stuff like that. And it's just like, how can you handle college plus kids and like grown up stuff like that? I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, there should be no judgment. I think that that's another thing, like, people have to start taking account of is like, everyone is going to be at their own pace, and we really have to stop judging people for doing less
Mhm.
and like associating it with laziness, because I know people could, think that I'm lazy. I slept in all day Thursday, and they like I might say that, and someone might be like, "Wow, you're a complete lazy person." Like,
Wow, you're so
you're
lazy.
so lazy, right? Because because I'm being judged for the stuff that I'm not doing, which I'm guilty of. Like, I am guilty of that. I am guilty of being somebody who is like, you're not doing as much as me, so therefore you're not doing enough. And like, I will own up to that guilt and just like call myself out and be like, that's just not cool.
Yeah.
Because like, I shouldn't be comparing anybody to what I'm doing. Like, like, it's still like whatever, but like whatever college student is doing is recognizable. And
Mhm.
like, it's not easy being a college student. It's just not.
It really isn't.
Um,
I feel like, yeah.
so like that's just something that we just gotta cut that out. Like, the people who are like, oh, only 16, only 12 hours. Like, okay, shut up. You can enjoy your 18 hours.
Have fun. Have
Have
fun.
fun. Yeah. Have
A
fun.
lot
Have
of
fun with your 18 hours and
fun.
your 0 hours of sleep. See if I care.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm getting 6 hours of sleep a night. What about you?
Exactly. Loser. We also shouldn't judge them for doing a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
definitely.
um, final questions. Has the pandemic in any way affected your college schedule and like the way that you work, and also like how productive you are?
I actually kind of like online schooling. I'm getting a lot better at time management, so I'm okay with that. It's just I feel like because professors are like, oh, everything's online, they're like okay with assigning more work than they would have when there was in-person schooling,
Mhm.
I guess, which kind of sucks. But again, like I'd rather take that over going to in-person classes during a pandemic. It's just one thing that sucks is like I can't form relationships with my professors and
Mhm.
TAs. And that was one of my biggest things because for me, like I also have to think about, like recommendation letters. And it's just like, where am I gonna get that during a
Right.
pandemic? Yeah. But I feel like I'm one of the few people who actually like online schooling. I don't know if anybody else does. I feel like a lot of people miss like the socialization aspect of like in-person schooling, but I don't care about that.
Yeah, that's fair. To each their own. Um, I think that basically is everything that I have to ask you. Is there any, or do you have any final thoughts? Anything that you would like to add about productivity, college grind, your experience?
Well, okay, this is just so random, but I was thinking about it. It randomly popped up into my head like when I transferred to UT. my friends used to tell me like they had friends who would go clubbing until like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. And then when they would come back, they would sober up and start studying until 8 a.m. and then go to class.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
like they're, I think, okay, you know what? I have a thought as well. I think something about, one second. Sorry, there was just a dog scratching on the wall and I just had to put it in its place. um, sorry, my neighbor's dog was scratching. Um, and I had to tell that damn dog to shut up. So something that I just something that I just had a thought of like with the pandemic, actually, there is like little to no social life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think thinking back last year, what also exhausted me was keeping up with school, work, and a social life. Whereas this year, I'm kind of like, I've just, like, social life, socialization is off the table.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have one. And if anything, that saves me some time and like sleep. Because I remember, like, I had similar nights where it's like I would go and hang out with friends, then I would get back. There was one night I got home at like 6 a.m. and I had a shift in like 3 or 4 hours. And I had to go and like, you know, maybe get an hour of sleep if I decided, or shower, get ready for work. So that's another thing. I think like I've looked at like not having a social life like negatively, which it is in some aspects, but also like I also kind of felt pressured to keep up a social life where I don't really feel that pressure anymore.
Yeah, me too. Like I was pressured to go to like parties on the weekends, even if I had like homework to do or if I had like other things I wanted to do. I felt like I had to go or else I would like lose my friends, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Since like they would always be partying and I'd be like at home like doing whatever I do, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting. I don't really miss my social life, I guess. I do miss it, but now my social life has gotten to the point. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But now my social life has gotten to the point where like when I want to hang out with my friends, it's always like, oh, do you want to go study somewhere cute?
Right. And that's kind of a mixture of the best of both worlds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that that's an interesting take on that. Again, I think this concludes our session. Thank you for talking with me about your issues. Until next times.
Until
Nice having you, Robbie.
bye.
Goodbye.
Do I hang up?